Here we go. PGC has officially started with Group 1 playing out their 6 games. This is arguably the stronger group out of the two, with crowd favorites like FaZe Clan and Tempo Storm, as well as top Korean and other Asian teams. Let's see how fast they manage to adapt to this crazy lobby. Let's talk about the most important thing in every game 1 of every PUBG tournament, and that is the looting spots. You want to secure your looting spot from the get-go, so you have free loot, free cars, free rotations. You're not being harassed by anyone from the side, and that's why a lot of teams decide to change up their looting spots so it's not contested. Because, for example, in this game, quite a few teams are going farm, they're going different places. We'll see how all of this unfolds. From the get-go, we can see that GenG is trying to take their usual looting spot, which is up in South George. But for example, Envy is going down towards Primorsk and the western coast. One interesting interaction is going to be Navi and Infantry. Both teams play the same looting spot, which is Ferry Pier. And they're both going for it. So someone's going to have to give up at some point because there's really not that much loot down there. Arguably, the most contested looting spot is around the farm area, but it seems like G2 have that under control, and AG are trying to figure out what to do because this is not enough to loot up a whole team. So later on, they decided to drive away and get cars fast, while G2 enjoyed their usual farm game. Vendetta was playing Milta, FaZe was playing Milta Power. But some teams like RJ and VC, they decided to go north and just find their luck somewhere else. So we got to catch the first kill of the tournament, and it's Duckmans going down to Helen. Duckmans is one of the most famous SEA players out there. So this is a relatively standard circle where no one can really complain. So nothing really too exciting happens because it's a relatively central circle. Not that many teams have to move. A few pickoffs now and then, but yeah. One thing that you see a lot of pro players do is after they get a knock, they really try their hardest to get the flush, get the finishing blow, because every kill is 1 point, and if someone steals your knock, then that guy gets 1 point. So you really have to confirm your kills really fast. Maluk there really risked his life just to try to get that. And unfortunately, Tempo Storm goes out pretty fast. They just got caught in a really open spot, and there was a lot of teams around. It was a huge mess, and they unfortunately all just went out. Alright, so let's take a look at this circle. Entus are in a phenomenal position because they have the Wizard Tower and the Garage House in the middle of the circle with 2 players in each. And also, if we look at how the terrain is laid out, we're going from the low ground to the high ground this way. Now, obviously, the teams on top, like FaZe and AG, have a pretty decent advantage positionally because they can play much easier later on because they're controlling what's going on. Now, first phase goes down to Ghost Gaming. Ghost Gaming kind of came in from the south, and not necessarily surprise phase, but this is a very rough area to fight around. So Fuzz goes down, and now FaZe have someone to keep them busy. See, a lot of these teams are fighting on the edge, but what is happening is all the teams in the middle are just picking up the kills. Entus, G2, they're all stealing kills as much as they can, and without any risk, basically. So G2 had to push Entus, G2 a 4-man team, but they had to leave their spot, and Entus joined up in the Garage House. And it's really hard for G2 to do anything here. It's not just Entus that they have to worry about, it's all the teams around them too. So now we get to the best play in this game, which is Maxi and Uba versus whole Ghost Gaming. Maxi and Uba are holding a real interesting spot. Very risky, but it seems like it's paying off. Ghost Gaming has to walk through them to get to the zone. And they know that they're close, but they don't know how close. So let's see how Maxi handles this. Alright, so let's talk about that play a little bit, because I think that was a great play. So Maxi found this fence from which he could hold a Ghost Gaming, and since this is some kind of funnel, they have to come in through this side. And Maxi can just go up and down on this fence and peek out, snipe one, go down, and be perfectly safe. And everyone kind of has to stare at the fence, and no one really wants to stare at nothing, basically. So they kind of just run in one by one. And Maxi takes out two, almost gets three. I mean, it's a very tough position for Ghost, but 2v4, that doesn't happen that often. And Uba with the great reaction as well, getting info on how many players are left. Overall, 2 against 4, and both of them live. So great play by FaZe. Okay, not the most significant play of the tournament, but a little detail that a lot of teams get wrong is when there's one guy left of the opposing team, you should group up and just rush him together, because in PUBG it's much harder to do a 1vx play than, let's say, in Counter-Strike, where people just die from one headshot. Here you have to knock him and then flush him, and that takes a lot of time. So if you have enough people attacking one guy, there's nothing you can do, and all you have to do is group up and attack him all at the same time. And here we see what the Koreans do. What the Koreans do arguably the best in the world is grouping up and just team fights. Not just in PUBG, but basically in any game they play. So you see Mickey, Joy, and Alpha all came in to get this kill, just to make sure that he dies fast and then no one gets killed in the process. And now this circle favors Entis. Obviously there's not much cover or any cover at all for the other teams. Have 2 solos, a duo, a trio, and a trio of Entis, but they have the house, so that's a huge advantage. So in the end it was basically Vendetta versus Entis, but Vendetta were badly wounded and Entis was just waiting for the perfect moment to pounce and kill everyone that is in the circle, and that's what they did. And that's what they did, and here we go. First game goes to the Korean team, OG and Entis Ace. So the drop locations have stabilized more or less. Some guys are trying to find maybe some other houses and stuff, but it seems like there's no fighting early game. I love when the game starts in a right way, and take a look at this. A doozy getting PUBG'd before a landing. Well, that's just, I don't even know how they caught this. It's insane that they managed to catch this. Out of the 64 live, they caught the only one that got PUBG'd. So that's really funny. So northern circle, and it was a southern plane. A lot of people have to traverse quite a long distance. Okay, take a look at this. All the teams that are close to the circle went in early. And all the teams that are a bit further away are gonna loot up extra and then rotate late and try to come in with the first circle closing. Now, I think the second circle caught a lot of teams off guard because almost no one was on the northern part. FaZe just came in from the longest rotation ever around Kameshki, and they're coming into a pretty empty area, and they must be satisfied with this. They know that the circle is gonna shift away from the water eventually. But for now, they're looking good. T1 also getting a great rotation in now. They were in a spot where they could go north for free because they were close to Stalbert. But yeah, I think it's quite interesting that no one committed to this earlier. But you don't want to get into big cities early on, because sometimes you can get stuck in there. So there was a super long fight going on between infantry and GenG here. But we're going to go to the end of it and see how GenG finally managed to get all the kills. Even though they were supposed to all die, in my opinion, right here. So what GenG decided to do to flush out the last 2 players from the second floor of this house was to Molotov every single room that they could be in. So watch this. Wherever they went, especially inside the smoke, they just got destroyed by Molotovs. Boliang can't see anything. He's burning. He can't see anything. That's great. So smoke some Molotovs. That's how you kill campers, guys. This is a side that NA fans really don't want to see, and that is Envy versus Tempo Storm in the early game. And I just want to point out a little mistake that Moody did here. I feel like it's a mistake, and that is if there's someone right next to you, or at least within 2 or 3 meters, you probably don't want to pull out a nade. And here's what happened. Moody pulled out a nade to get someone in the shack or just next to it, and boom, he gets punished instantly by Maluk. Because Maluk was able to just walk out and snipe him. You only do that if you're 100% sure that the guy cannot push out. But I understand it's a mess, and Moody maybe thought that there was no one up, and everyone was knocked on that side, so it's hard to judge from just the stream. This circle is just fantastic for FaZe. Obviously, since it has to shift away from the water because such are the settings, they expected this to happen, but the big thing is FaZe controls all of this. No one can come in here. And of course the back, but yeah. FaZe controls half of the circle from this position. And later on, that can transfer into an easy way into the next circle once they're outside. Yes, these two are not teammates, okay? It's Pokemolodo and Esther. They're not teammates. This was kind of funny to watch because you can't really see what they see. And there's Molotovs. Look, Pokemolodo actually goes in the Molotov, or very close to it. It gets shot from the back. I thought he was gonna die there, but eventually he did die. He kind of couldn't decide who to shoot. So yeah, didn't get any kills there. GenG just didn't play that well. Second game in a row, they go out really early. They're in some open positions, taking all kinds of fights. I feel like they just, I don't know, didn't adapt that well to the lobby. But of course, it's only 2 games. But when it's 6 games to decide who goes to the semifinals and who goes down to elimination groups, you don't really have an excuse. You can see the bullet tracers coming in from FaZe. They're just enjoying life right now. It is kind of hard to steal kills at this range because we're talking about 300, 400, 500 meters. But still, look at what teams have to try to do something. These are the last game's winners, and they just get wiped. I mean, a very hard area to play in. FaZe are in the circle. Even though it's phase 5, they're still in the circle, and that's insane. See, sometimes in PUBG, you're just gifted a win. And there's really no arguing that you got gifted a win. But it's all about how many kills you also got in that win and how consistent you are when it comes to winning these, let's say, gifted easy circles. Because a lot of teams get gifted circles, but sometimes they don't win. Sometimes they only get like 2 kills. You still have to try to get kills, even if you get a good circle. And FaZe are really good at this, and they're really good at getting circles. You also have to talk about Vendetta. This is the second game in a row. They're doing really well. They qualified with, I think, the first place finish in the Oceanic Australian League. So that was a really good performance by them. They managed to beat the team that was doing really good on GLL, which was Atletico. So yeah, we can see that they're a force to be reckoned with. So FaZe now took the northern part of the circle. They just walked in or drove in. No one could stop them. They had too much control over the area around. And now slowly FaZe was just trying to gather info and slowly pick off teams around them, stick together, and also control the area even more. Because again, they have the best spot. And the circle. And here we go. FaZe controlling the whole circle, driving around, taking all the positions. Yeah, sure, FaZe dies, but that's the last kill. And that's it. FaZe takes game 2. Great performance, good circles, and clean win. Alright, so game 3 starts pretty fiery with FaZe and Vendetta both going Kameshki because the plane didn't allow them to go to their usual spot. It will be too inefficient to just drive down there. And FaZe almost got the first blood on Ownage, but it just barely survives. So they had to split Kameshki, which is bad for both teams. Circle is nice. It's pretty similar to how it was in game 1. So it's nice for the teams on the eastern side. So circles, I don't know, but they seem like they like water in PGC. So this is obviously going to cause a lot of chaos already in phase 2. So another great fight. FaZe saw that Red Canids have to walk into them. So Uba sets a trap. He's the front man. He's waiting crouch. He's just listening to steps. And as people come in, he's gonna stand up, shoot one. Similar to what we saw in Max in game 1. It's just that Uba doesn't have a fence to work with, so it's much harder. But you're kind of using the grass as cover. So unfortunately for Uba, he didn't get more than 1 kill. One guy was 1 HP, but the rest of the team comes in, picks up all the kills that were left. And Uba gets grenaded, unfortunately, so he goes down. But it's a 1 for 4, so not bad. They were following FaZe a lot this game, and basically what happened is FaZe didn't have any more cars. They had to run in, the zone was rough. They had to go through 2 different teams. And eventually, Vendetta just destroyed them when they try to come in. So no matter how good you are, the problem is once you lose your cars and you gotta run in the open, you're just dead meat. So after all the fights in the woods and similar, we have T1, Ghost Gaming, Tempo Storm, and OG and Entis. With T1 probably being in the best spot, but it all depends on the circle. And the circle says, yeah. Beautiful grenade by iCat. Ghost thought that they would be safe, that they would be out of grenade range, but no one wanted to snipe these guys that are running in the open. Because Entis was a little bit busy. Sometimes you think that other teams are going to help you, but they don't, and then you die like Ghost did, unfortunately. But they still have 2 more. T1 cannot go for those nades anymore because people are watching now. Entis is watching from the south. Ghost is ready to strike back, so... But Entis was just in a terrible position, and they just got wiped. They had nothing to play for there. But in the end, it's a 2v4. Ghost got 1 picked off, and it's an easy win in the end for SK Telecom. Great nade finish as well. So game 4 coming up, and it's Sanhok. 1 Sanhok, 2 Miramars, and 3 Erangels for each group. When it comes to drop spots, I don't think they matter too much on Sanhok, but you have to keep in mind these teams have scrimmed against one another for at least a week as far as I know. So they kind of know where they're going to drop. That's why we didn't see too many early game fights on Erangel. We're not going to see too many in any stage of the tournament, I think. Maybe in the second group stage, but we'll see. This place is probably one of the most contested because it's on a crossroad. You can go to any of the 3 islands and you see infantry and tempo fighting it out, and unfortunately it comes down to whoever gets better stuff early. The Sanhok early game is absolute mess. You can get killed from anywhere. McCoy has the sickest angle here, but apparently VC is kind of ready for this, aren't they? Yeah. And they actually got McCoy. Impressive. So this fight is just not stopping. And unfortunately for Tempo Storm, they just didn't have enough gear to keep up with the infantry. They were using shotguns and just bad weapons overall. We didn't get to talk too much about the circle, but it was relatively central. The games are much easier to play for all teams if the circle is on the main island, because if most of the teams have to cross to one island, you don't typically get more than half of the teams on the island. So Gex, Na'Vi, Vendetta, FaZe, those are the teams that are looking really good. The circle is likely to shift a little bit north, so that's why teams are not on the southern side. Unfortunately, on Sanhok, it's kind of easy to predict where the circle is going to go. And that is one of the main concerns that pros have. And you can definitely see that no one's taking this bottom part, because all of the rivers and the water in general, they all affect the next circle. And it's more likely to go up somewhere. For example, this way, away from the water, once it has to shift. Oh, look, another circle going towards FaZe, but this time it was really just knowing where the circle is going to go due to the map settings. AG chose to play out in the open on one of the hills and just try to get a lot of kills. But on Sanhok, unfortunately, no matter how good you are, eventually you get third-partied or backstabbed. And sure, you're going to get a few kills by playing in the open, but ideally you want to have some real estate, some kind of cover, and try to steal kills or kill people that are trying to take your compound as well. Because in the end, as you can see, AG just got destroyed basically, but all the teams that are around him. The team goes from the most aggressive one to having one guy alive and that guy's a snake. So in the end, Na'Vi was controlling everything. FaZe and GX had to run in. Unfortunately for FaZe, they died before GX died. So they got third place, which is 1 point difference, but still. Alright, so game 5 and 6 are going to be played on Miramar. But there's one team I want to talk about that we weren't really focused on because they kind of died early in almost all the games. And that is G2. And again, in this game, they got caught off in one of their rotations towards the south. I really don't understand what's going with these circles. This one went full south. Again, has like 1/3 water in it. And a lot of teams are just in a really bad spot. Like, how do you get in on Miramar? It's much harder to get into the circle when you're being held out on Miramar than on Erangel, because on Erangel you can kind of use cars to counteract certain positions, but here you have to fight for it, and it's typically a losing fight. Let's guess who's in the middle of the circle. Oh, the top two teams, FaZe and Entus in the middle of this one too. And on Miramar, if you have a compound and you're in the middle, you're golden. It's very hard to get to you. Cars don't really help. It's a great position for those two teams. Now the circle shifts to the east side, and some teams have to make some really ridiculous plays. So Ghost and T1 decide to go for cars and try to get in somehow. The Ghosts have 4 in one Mirado, which is something you don't really see all that often. They managed to defend themselves against GenG. Also, Mikoi gets a team kill on Drassel, but I think they recover. But T1, not that lucky. FaZe also have to rotate because they lost the circle due to the hard shift. They are aware that Armory Gaming is right on their back. And Uba just destroys them with nades. He sends one to the side, baits them out to the other one, throws a second nade where they're healing. Beautiful. So that's a good wipe, but they're still in a really tough position. As you can see, a critical motion just abuses this. Gets an easy kill on Uba. And LITE is the last one alive. Unfortunately for LITE, he really had no chance here against the Australian team. So FaZe goes out in 13th place. This is their worst performance yet. But, I mean, with 48 points in Game 5, you're safe. You made it through. Now, this circle looks really bad for a team like Tempo Storm. But G2 only has 2 players. And in this situation on Miramar, it's very hard to control the whole area with only 2 players. And Tempo Storm is coming up from the high ground. So that is an additional advantage that they have. So maybe there's something that can be done. G2 actually decided to run away and let Tempo Storm in. Na'Vi managed to lose some players and now they're getting attacked. They're split as well, so they're just trying to live. And Infantry is inside Pokamodo's house. It seems like they're not on the same floor. Again, this is quite a mess. A lot of teams are... I think it's 4 teams that are basically in the same compound right now. Look at this. And only Tempo Storm doesn't have to leave. So they're just going to try to stay there and wait for everyone to walk in. So Tempo know that there's a lot of Entus players below them. And they heard the fight and they saw a knock. And then instantly they're going for them. Because that's the right moment to strike, when 1 or 2 guys are knocked from a team that is the biggest threat. And they just wiped them so fast. Really good plays by Tempo Storm this game. Pocamoldo with a great smoke snake play.
This is a lot. This is a grudge match for Tempo Storm. They want to do this damage back over towards him, but Pokemon all the way is just watching, waiting for the moment, goes for the shots back over towards it, gets it down onto sharp shot. And he got the second one, no.
But unfortunately it didn't pan out for him. But good attempt by Pokemon. Overall, Tempo Storm destroyed everyone. Good positioning. They didn't have the best circles, but they worked with them and good game. So here are the scores after game 5. Basically the top 5 teams are safe, but anyone from the 9th to the 16th place, if they get a win with a few kills, they should be able to make it in the top 8. Even G2 and Armory, which are the teams that are the last 2 ones. Here we go, last game of Group 1. It's played on Miramar. Let's see how the teams drop. I don't know, Infantry and Tempo Storm, they don't seem to like each other too much. They fight on Miramar, they fought on Sanhok as well. It's just not working out for them. Although Tempo Storm is doing really good. What typically happens when someone is contesting is that one team is going to run away, and in this instance it was Infantry with a 4-man Mirado running away. But it's probably the best play there. Now this circle is really rough for a team like Infantry. They are the only team that is still on the other side, on the island. And they're going to have to cross in the next circle. There's no way it switches back to them. And they don't have that many choices. They can cross the bridge or they can swim. Swimming in this canal, swimming this channel is almost impossible. So I guess the only option is to try to cross the bridge somehow. But as you can see, there's so many teams stacked up on the northern side of the bridge. They're kind of doomed. For once, GenG get a really nice circle and a good position. So let's see if they can turn it into winning and manage to qualify. GenG going for an insane play. They're going uphill all the way to the top in order to wipe T1, which have 2 players up there healing inside the smoke. They sent 2 against 3. And it's working out for them. Loki is still holding the most crucial spot, which is that position down on the bottom. GenG barely making it to these smokes, but they're still not safe. That was a really risky play, as you can see. But it seems like it paid out.
Kills as soon as possible. Might get a chance here against Zampa and Miluk. Never mind, they're able to get over the ridge line, so they're safe for now. Zampa ditches the fight, turns around, tries to get...
Tempo's gonna turn around instantly, but unfortunately they're in such a bad spot that they can't really defend against this. And now they're hiding in smokes and 2 are knocked. And Infantry kind of got the best of them there. Maybe a little bit bad timing for Tempo Storm on that rotation. And Tempo Storm go out in 6th place. And Infantry, a team that was stuck on the island, is making it till the end game, and they got 5th place. So the final fight is a 3v3, which is always very interesting to see. Na'Vi versus GenG. GenG have a full wrap on them, and they're picking the kills.
But they got Esther now down to 2 nice shots on the table, and a nade to follow from Senya. Perfectly timed and perfectly placed. And Na'Vi
with some great plays, they seem to come out on top.
And come away with the win to close off the first day of PGC. Loki needs to look back down towards the left, see if he sees any.
Now it's a 1v3 for Loki. He gets 1. He gets 2.
Loki's looking around. It's a peak battle back and forth. Instead, gonna go out for the Molotovs. Gonna go a little bit far. He just wants to get the kills that he can get. Pokemon Loki playing around this hillside. The blue is coming in. We're in the last circle right now. Loki patiently waiting to see how's this peak gonna go through. This is so nerve-wracking for both players. Loki's wanting to play it aggressive, while Pokemon is just trying to play off the smokes, kill the player, so that way he can't feed information based off of his positioning. So now it's just looking around. Pokemon is trying to find the angle. Does manage to spot up towards Loki. Loki has to be so cautious, but the reposition does pay off. Going out for another flashbang, just trying to get a little bit more space off of this, seeing if he can get it. That is a ton of flashbangs out, but it's back behind.
For instance, the flashbangs in the final 1v1, you really get to see something like that.
Loki still playing around this hillside. Still a lot of time here with the blue. Pokemon doesn't have to rush this. He's still got the rock, but Loki ever closer, creeping towards the center. Headshot in range here for Loki, now at the tree. Pokemon and Loki both out of utility. They've used everything they've got here. Only the 2 times on their 416 for Loki. Lands the headshot. Does he have the heals though? Loki's pushing out. Loki picks up there.
And Loki got a 1v3 in the end. He did have the best spot. Let's be real. He did have the surprise factor, but getting a 1v3 against Na'Vi, that is always impressive. So congrats to Loki GenG. Congrats to GenG for that win. But did that get them in the top 8? So GenG got 22 points for that game. Na'Vi got 12. But it's still very close if they made it or not. And they did in 7th. Very close. But alright. Congrats to GenG for making it through. So the teams that made it through are OG and Entus, FaZe, Tempo Storm Vendetta, Ghost Gaming, Na'Vi, GenG, and SK Telecom T1. And from the teams that you would expect to make it, I'd say VC Gaming, maybe NV, and maybe G2. Unfortunately, those teams are going to have to play on day 3 in order to stay alive in the tournament. They need a top 8 finish, but their points transfer from this stage to the elimination stage, which is day 3. Guys, thank you for watching this. Let me know what you think of this format, and if you'd like to see something changed, maybe more highlights, maybe less analysis, more analysis, let me know in the comments below. And last but not least, let's just watch the official highlights of today's games. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't miss the live action on my stream at Twitch 3/Spreezy. See you in the next video.